In this session, we will be discussing the cause and effects of the wicked problem being poverty and food scarcity, reflecting on some research with an empathy map, identifying the end user, as well as key insights and problem statements that we can solve for.
Here we are discussing causes and effects within the problem systems. And the wicked problem identified, which is the effect, it is poverty and food scarcity. And what causes this, it is unemployment, government, poor infrastructure, growth, inequality, conflict, cost of living, lack of good education, job creation, and lack of food. This is an overview of the wicked problem identified, which is poverty and causes food scarcity in our country. People have lost their jobs. They cannot afford to buy food anymore. Situation has deteriorated, especially since COVID started. Companies have closed down. Therefore, that leads to more job losses. We need an innovation to eliminate this problem. And a design thinking tool will be an important tool to help us reach the main cause of the problem. More of the details are unpacked on the document attached.
The end user affected by the wicked problem is the people who live under poverty. These people are victims of food scarcity. A decent meal before bed or during the day is a struggle for them. However, food scarcity and poverty affects all citizens of the country indirectly, as food scarcity plays a role in the depreciation of the economy. What does the term empathetic primary research mean? Well, let's break it down. According to the Interaction Design Foundation 2020, empathy is our ability to see the world through other people's eyes, to see what they see, feel what they feel, and experience things as they do. Empathy is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, figuratively. Now, primary research is research which is done firsthand. The information is collected directly from the source. Therefore, empathetic primary research refers to the research collected directly from the source, which is the end user affected by the wicked problem, where the researcher puts himself or herself in the source's shoes. Empathetic primary research can help collect vital information such as the sample size of the end user. The sample size of the end user can be collected through gatherings which are held to uplift disadvantaged members of society by handing food parcels or any items of basic needs to them. At such gatherings, the researcher can count how many people are living under poverty and are affected by food security and scarcity. Reaching people who live in poverty and are affected by food security and scarcity is not easy, as the majority of them are not found on convenient mediums like social media. The end user can be reached through outreaches, which include a walk through the neighborhoods directly affected by poverty, political gatherings where members of the society are given the opportunity to voice out their expectations and opinions, food drop-off sites where the less fortunate have the opportunity to collect food, mobile soup kitchens handing out food, as well as any community gatherings or events. There are a number of methods that can be used to conduct empathetic primary research. One of the most suitable methods for conducting empathetic primary research includes contextual interviews. Contextual interviews are not only based on questioning the end user and analyzing their response, but it also takes into consideration the behaviors of the end user. People living in poverty and are affected by food security and scarcity often act in a certain manner. Such people express more anger and sadness than those who are fortunate. An example of their anger in action is the rioting and looting that took place in July 2021. Most of those individuals spotted and interviewed at the looting and rioting sites expressed their deep emotions on how the government is serving them injustice. These people complained a lot about hunger and that they cannot afford their basic needs. By conducting contextual research, the end user's actions will be better understood.
The end user empathy map. This looks at the end user being someone who is affected by poverty and some of its direct results, like food scarcity. What does she do? She works non-permanent jobs, depends on government aid, looks for piece jobs, takes care of the whole family as the primary caregiver. What is her thought process? She thinks she could try opening a small business selling fruit and vegetables, thinks of ways to get resources to start the small business. How does she feel? She feels disenfranchised, despondent about whether the circumstances she's in will change, worried about food scarcity and security and how it is already affecting her family and herself. What does she say? She says that she must stock up on cheap food bargains and that if she gets a good job, they will have a sustained food supply. The user persona. The user's background: a skilled informal sector worker, does mostly domestic work, unmarried with no spousal support, and 3 minor children. What is the demographic? This person could be between the age of 27 and 35, based in the township, with an annual income of around 25,000 rands. What are the identifiers? She's reliant on social aid, relies on public transport, and is highly stressed.
Key insights. The first insight is due to corruption in government, there is a lack of funding to aid feed those who are unable to feed themselves and their families. Key insight 2 is that this leads to further implications such as the looting that took place during the COVID pandemic in South Africa. And lastly, the key insight around small businesses that were affected as they had limited access to food and the opportunities to generate income through informal trading, which was significantly decreased due to the pandemic. The problem statement identified as follows. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected many businesses across the world, which has resulted in significant job losses and loss of incomes in many households. In a country with a high rate of unemployment, it has augmented this rate and resulted in extreme poverty and food scarcity to many households. How we might address these is through various initiatives such as tax relief from government, wage support from corporates as well as government, funding to aid small businesses and their employees, and community collaboration with distribution of food.